Hello and welcome to Haunted Montreal's Spooky Story Sessions. I'm your host, Holly Rhiannon, and today I'm going to tell you all about Westmount's Murray Hill Park. Here at Haunted Montreal, we bring you ghost stories in both English and French every Saturday. Before we get into today's story, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you get notified every time we have a new tale to tell. And hey, if you're already subscribed, a big thank you, welcome back. We're so happy to have you here. Now without further ado, let's get spooky. The City of Westmount is a tiny Victorian municipality located directly to the west of Montreal proper. Within this municipality is Murray Hill Park, a 14-acre bucolic greenspace which has long attracted residents to enjoy picnics and games on its grassy slopes. The recently deceased Montreal bard Leonard Cohen grew up beside these grounds and left readers with haunting descriptions of them in his novels. There are also rumors that Murray Hill Park is haunted by ghosts from another era. More specifically, a host of phantom children in antique underthings has been spotted singing while traipsing through the large open green space. Who might these musical ghosts be, and why do they haunt Murray Hill Park? Well, let's start with a bit of history. In 1857, a man named William Murray purchased land from the Leduc family farm and built a country residence which he named Westmount. The name was very popular, and so in 1895, the town of Côte-Saint-Antoine actually changed its name to Westmount. The park itself was originally created in the 1920s when William Murray sold a piece of his farmland to the City of Westmount. In 1936, Murray's original home was demolished to make way for the park's tennis courts, and by 1939, the grounds were renamed King George Park to mark the British monarch's visit to Canada along with his wife Queen Elizabeth. However, to this day, locals still affectionately call it Murray Park. At the northern edge of the park is an immense playing field where locals play lacrosse, rugby, and soccer. During the winter months, the park hosts an outdoor rink for skating enthusiasts and a tobogganing hill. There is also a dog run, a tennis court, a wading pool, a basketball net, a comfort station, a children's playground, and a lovely little pond nestled at the base of a stone wall. According to some sources, there are freshwater wells beneath the park that were sacred to the native people who first inhabited the area. Murray Hill Park is located beside Côte-Saint-Antoine Road, which traces an old trail that was used by the First Nations. When French settlers first began colonizing the area in the 1600s, they discovered these wells along with mysterious pictographs carved into the trunks of trees leading along the pathway. But there's more to this part of the park's history. In 1898, an ancient First Nations burial ground was discovered on the grounds around the vicinity of the St. George's Snowshoeing Club near the corner of Aberdeen Avenue and the Boulevard. Many of the skeletons were found buried in the fetal position with their knees up, and academics at the time speculated that the burial ground belonged to an era prior to the 15th century. As mentioned previously, another big connection to Murray Hill Park is the fact that the late Leonard Cohen grew up adjacent to it on the heights of Belmont Avenue, his childhood home being at 599 Belmont. He described Westmount as a collection of large stone houses and lush trees arranged on the top of the mountain, especially to humiliate the underprivileged. In his 1963 novel, The Favorite Game, Cohen immortalized the window in the home's tiny sunroom, which is connected to his old music room. He wrote, "The window gave over the slope of Murray Park across the commercial city down to the St. Lawrence, American mountains in the distance." In Chapter 4, he penned haunting descriptions of Murray Hill Park at night, stating, "The flower beds, the terraces of grass had an aspect of formality they did not have by daylight. The trees were taller and older. The high-fenced tennis court looked like a cage for huge wingless creatures which had somehow got away. The ponds were calm and deadly black. Lamps floated on them like multiple moons. The empty baseball diamond was blurred with spectacular sliding ghosts." Cohen was clearly inspired by the park, and he may have also found his muse there during his teens. After meeting a Spanish man by Murray Park's tennis court, Cohen took informal lessons in flamenco guitar, which may have helped to spark his career as a singer and songwriter later on in life. Now, returning to the ghostly children, which I'm sure you're fascinated with, several sources describe them as a host of singing children in antique underthings traipsing through Murray Park in Westmount. The rumor first appeared in 2003 in the now defunct weekly newspaper Hour. When asked about the singing ghosts and whether or not the municipality is in fact haunted, a Westmount Historical Society archivist replied, "Not really. And as for singing children in antique underwear, I have to laugh. Someone out there is fabricating this preposterous claim." Extensive research has revealed very little about these childlike spirits and whether or not they actually exist, raising questions as to why someone might report seeing a host of singing children in antique underthings traipsing through Murray Park. One possibility is a case of mistaken identity. The nearby St. Matthias Church is located on the corner of Churchill Avenue and Côte Saint-Antoine. This Anglican hall of worship, constructed in 1912, until recently has hosted a children's choir. When performing, the children were known to wear billowing robes that could possibly be mistaken for antique underthings. And so this theory could point towards the children in the choir having been spotted singing in the nearby Murray Hill Park, perhaps in preparation for a concert during an informal rehearsal of sorts. According to a former St. Matthias's church choir director, there has not been a children's choir there now since about 2008. Concerning the possibility of the children going to Murray Hill Park while wearing their robes in the past, the choir director said, "It sounds like something the kids in the choir would have done. And in a good win, their robes would have been very substantially spooky." He added that they were known to go tobogganing in their robes at that very park. As such, there's a good chance that the ghost sighting was made in error. However, another possibility is that the ghosts are real, although at this time there is little evidence to prove that beyond the online rumors. Concerning the question as to whether or not Westmount as a whole is haunted, despite the denial by the archivist, there are many ghost stories from this Victorian municipality. Dan Aykroyd of Ghostbusters fame described the spooky things he heard and saw as a child that inspired the film. Aykroyd's great-grandfather, Samuel Augustus Aykroyd, was a well-known mystic during the peak of the spiritualism craze in the 19th and early 20th centuries and used to host seances in Westmount. His son, Peter Aykroyd, spent his childhood watching his family's parlor seances through the crack of a basement door and penned a book called A History of Ghosts, the true story of seances and mediums and ghosts and ghostbusters. During a 2009 interview on CNN with Larry King, his son, Dan Aykroyd, elaborated, "When I was 8 years old, I attended my first seance, and our family has been interested in the whole thing my whole life. My uncle, he told a story about coming into the room in Westmount, Montreal, where they'd held seances. There was a trumpet flying around the room, and it was speaking, and there were voices coming out of it. As soon as he came in, it dropped to the floor." There are also rumors that a good number of Westmount's picturesque Victorian mansions are haunted by spirits of the past. For example, in 1982, a children's book titled The Haunted Dollhouse was written and set in Riverview, a historic and rumored to be haunted manor high on the slopes of Westmount Mountain. It was a scary story about a young girl who wakes up in a haunted Victorian dollhouse. Other allegedly haunted houses in Westmount attract teams of paranormal investigators who visit in search of ghosts, often to the disapproval of wealthy homeowners. Regarding these mysteries, more research is definitely needed to shed more light on the spirits that potentially haunt Westmount. If you have any information about another Westmount ghost story or the phantoms of children allegedly haunting Murray Hill Park, please contact us with your story. As for me, someone who happens to live off of Côte Saint-Antoine, I will continue to keep my eye out. As always, whether you are a Montreal resident or a tourist, we want to know your theories about what could be going on. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first video, we do hope that you'll stick around for the next ones. We put out videos in both English and French every Saturday. If you'd like to learn more about the organization founded by the talented Donovan King, it's all listed in the description below, along with links to purchase tickets to in-person haunted tours. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll have a new video out for you next Saturday, but until then, stay spooky.